Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom to the 12 tribes of Israel, the sovereign nation of Israel, dispersed but not destroyed. I want to greet you and welcome you to another Shabbat Day class here at the Awakening Remnant Coalition, Dallas. Feast of Trumpets has come upon us. It is a glorious day to remember who you are as Israel. I am blessed above all to be here with you, and I am grateful that the Father has allowed me the opportunity to address those who are a part of this sovereign nation of Israel. It is a blessing as a moray or a teacher to be able to share the truth to a people who have been asleep for so long. And as we enter into each stage of the awakening, to see more and more people coming to a knowledge of self. I remember in the early 90s, late 80s, as a very young man myself, traveling the world, being in the military, I used to always run into these 5%ers because, you had a lot of people from Philly, New York, and all those areas. And they would always try to preach about knowledge of self and the enlightenment. And I started to understand now that I am older and more mature and more traveled and a clearer recollection of the truth. As I then now understand what it means to enter into this state of mind, this state of being, this and I am grateful to the Father because He has given me the opportunity as His child, as His son, to be able to address His people. And I don't want you to get this twisted. I'm not saying this in a sense like I'm the one and only son. No, what I'm saying is that we are His children and the sheep of His pasture. And to have this opportunity to address the nation is something that I do not look lightly on. And I'm grateful to be in a safe space where I can be me and I don't have to worry about what the world thinks or what the outside thinks because I understand who I am in Him and through Him. So I want to, before we go into the lesson today, and especially since I got Elder Yosef on the line, I had a conversation with Zakaria, a sister that's in the chat right now, and Shalom sister, a couple of days ago. And we were talking, and you know how I am, Yosef. I get to going on one of these rants, and something pops out of my mouth, and and I'm like, you know how you played off like you've been doing that all along, you know, but it pop out of your mouth and it's profound, it's prolific to you, the statement that you made. Now, I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
say it exactly how I said it, but those who know me are going to get a gist of what I said. We were talking about Hebrews and some of the things that is going on in the kingdom, from the polygyny argument to Torah only to you know Joseph is the father and all this stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, you know what, the biggest dilemma that is falling on Israel right now is that you can't do kingdom in captivity. I said, we got this bad habit of trying to do kingdom in
Mm-hmm.
captivity.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm driving down 20, heading west. I mean, heading east. I was like, God, did you just say that? And as me and Zakaria kept talking about it, the layers of that thing peeled back like an onion.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to share this with the people. So Zakaria posted it on her chat, on her Facebook. And a brother addressed her this morning and was like, what do you mean by that? And so I'm going to address the issue real quick. And it's good that we're in the book of Exodus because this lays the groundwork for the very statement. Slaves can't do kingdom because slaves fall under the authority of someone else.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at if you look at Israel as the nation that it truly is, when it was established, it had no king. Those people who were in the bloodline of Abraham, who was going to become this kingdom, were enslaved. They were in captivity. There ain't but one thing we ever did, well, two things that we did while we were in captivity as a nation. One was that we cried out to the Father to free us, and the second one was we established the Passover. And actually, He established the Passover so that we
Mm-hmm.
could get free. Case in point. Now, this is for those who do believe in a Messiah because we are messianic and we believe that the Messiah came in the form of Yeshua HaMashiach. Um, Not that blue-eyed, blonde-haired joker that y'all be seeing on them boards, but the true HaMashiach. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we realize that without redemption, you can't do kingdom. Realize this. You can't function as a nation under a nation. We can't sell. Look, if we were truly a nation, if we were truly able to function as Israel, everything would be shut down right now. Everything. If we were able to function as a true nation, we wouldn't have to bicker and argue with our bosses to be off for the feast days. If we could truly function as a nation, we would not be hiding on the internet. We would have, most of us as men, if we were still in the United States, we would already be on our pilgrimage back home to Israel to celebrate these feast days
Mm-hmm.
because there
Mm-hmm.
was an ordinance given by the Father to Moshe that 3 times in a year the men of Israel would go back to Yerushalayim and celebrate these feast days. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So my question and well, my statement, you can't do kingdom in captivity. All right, here come the rock.
Shalom, 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 shalom. How you doing, family? How you doing?
Kill your other tab.
Huh?
Kill your other tab. You got another tab open?
Yeah. Hold on.
There we go.
Yeah, that should be.
Okay, so my statement, and I stand behind this, is that the Father, in establishing kingdom, you can't be a slave because slaves have no authority to operate in kingdom business.
Right.
That's why before he ever gave us as a nation the laws, statutes, and commandments, as a nation written in stone as a document, he had to first free us. Now, as we go further in today's lesson, you'll understand something too. You can be physically free and still be in captivity. I think on last week we had touched where Moshe had went up the mount, and Aaron was down there listening to the people, and they started worrying about where Moshe was, and he's like, break off all the gold in your ears and
Mm-hmm.
off your sons and daughters and give it to me, and I'll make you a god. Now this is after being freed from Pharaoh, crossing over the Hafsuf or the Yafsuf or what they would call the Red Sea, but we know it's the Sea of Reeds. The Yam Suf, that's what it's called, the Yam Suf. Then being given sweet water, manna from heaven, quail, not being sick, their clothes never running out, leaving out of Egypt or Mizraim with great wealth and prosperity and health, and yet and still, after being anointed, with being sprinkled over with blood and taking this oath to Abba Father, we still had the mind of a slave. And you will see that this is an ongoing condition that we as Israel face, or Yasharel, or whatever you want to use, because I have to hit the broad spectrum because we got brothers that may be in here that's gonna point fingers. Why are you talking with the hat on? Shut up. Um, until your mind is free, you can't properly function in kingdom. And I know there's gonna be some people that are gonna say, "Well, I'm free. I ain't no slave." Well, as long as you got this card called a Social Security card, they got them numbers on it, them 9 numbers on it, you a slave. You a prisoner. You an inmate. You are an inmate in a free range prison. boy right there, that's a statement right there in itself. You are a prisoner in a free range prison. And it is going to take someone to come and break you out of it. This is why I hold firm to the belief that we have a Messiah who is coming to redeem us back
Mm-hmm.
to the Father. We
Mm-hmm.
need another Exodus. We need another jailbreak. We need to be taken out of this situation once again. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to even go as far as this before I open up the floor to the brethren, that until we get broken out of prison again, nobody's going to really grasp the magnitude of what's about to happen to us as a nation. That's why I changed the greeting. That's why I changed a little bit about the intro. That's why I always recognize us as a sovereign nation, because we are a nation, but we are still in captivity. We are dispersed. Our land is occupied by enemy forces, and we have been kicked out of that which is our inheritance. Boy, I want to shout. Boy. So, as we go into this feast season and we memorialize that which is instituted by the Father for us, I want you to understand you will never feel the full magnitude of what it is you are doing until you are free. Free in body, free in mind, free in ruach.
Mm-hmm.
Until you are back in Israel as a citizen of a sovereign nation with our Messiah sitting on the throne, you will never understand the fullness of these feasts, because you can't truly do kingdom in captivity. Now, what I said to the sister was this: we so caught up trying to do kingdom ish that we miss out on the fact that we ain't even kingdom yet. We got the horse, we got the carriage before the horse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we want to do all the things that make us a kingdom, but we still captive. It don't work. It don't function properly. You have never seen a horse pushing a cart. Somebody had enough knowledge to say, why don't I hook the cart to the horse and let the horse pull it instead of letting the horse bump his head up against it and push it. And we as Israel, or we as Israel, have this bad habit of trying to push that which needs to be pulled. What we need to do, and I'm going to go back to Nehemiah, because as y'all know, Nehemiah is probably one of my favorite prophets. Nehemiah said something that was very profound, and it's something that we need to take into consideration right now during this stage of the awakening. Welcome to the 10 channels that are in the room. Nehemiah said this: let's just get the Sabbath right. Don't worry about nothing else. We're going to build these walls and we're going to practice the Sabbath. We ain't going to worry about nothing else. And until we get that right, then, and then only then we will start to institute kingdom. You understand? Because they had been so far removed from their heritage that they really didn't understand how to function any other way except the Shabbat. Now think about this. We have been centuries out of practice. But we want to do everything that we feel Israel was supposed to do. We don't even have the priesthood in place. And I know people are going to say, well, those who are Messianic are going to say, well, Messiah left us under the priesthood of Melchizedek. You're right. You're right. But let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen the order of Melchizedek function? So we have gotten into this habit of trying to take big steps when we need to take baby steps. And I know a lot of brothers are gonna say, well, you know, you're being too pessimistic. You need to be more optimistic. No, I don't, because until you understand that you need to grasp the language, you need to try to start studying the language so you can interpret the book, and until you can try to figure out how to properly keep the Sabbath. Because we still got Hebrews running around here talking about the lunar Sabbath, and that there's only one Sabbath in a month. And I'm sitting there, I'm telling you, these are some of the things that are going around in Yasharel. And y'all know I ain't lying.
Yeah.
The Sabbath, the lunar Sabbath. No, brother. Y'all established the Sabbath from the beginning. What'd he say? That's why he keeps beating it over your head. 6 days a man shall work, and on the Sabbath shall be a day of rest. Now, if I'm correct, usually there are 4 Sabbaths per lunar cycle.
4 weekly, yeah.
4 weekly Sabbaths.
Yeah.
But the problem is, we so busy trying to function in kingdom and don't know what kingdom look like. This is why you got UCIC, you got the ARC, you got all these other coalitions trying to put something together. And I'm not knocking anybody. But what I'm saying is, at some point, we need to function as a nation. And we can't quit trying to do kingdoms while we here. You can't even think kingdom. Half of y'all up here talking about I'm a priest, I'm royalty, we gonna kill all these white folks. And the fact of the matter is that further lets me know how ingrained in captivity you are.
Yeah. I think if you don't mind,
Go ahead.
First of all, let me start off by saying Shabbat Shalom to everyone. I know a lot of people have started off with the memorial blowing of trumpets on yesterday, and I know going forward, following through with the Day of Atonement, and then after that, tabernacles. So to all the 12 tribes scattered abroad, again, hopefully you have a wonderful high holy Shabbat as well as a weekly Shabbat. Now, with that being said, I think you're absolutely right, Ak, on many levels, and with understanding the functionality of us as a people. But remember, the house is a microcosm of the kingdom. So if a brother cannot be honest with himself and say that he's not only teaching his wife, or if he went to polygamy or whatever, that's his choice. Is he leading them righteously? Is he teaching them righteously? Number two, is he teaching it, or is he taking responsibility for those that don't know? Where there's other families and helping them, because as a priest, the priest is administrator. That's what he does. He administrates the and facilitate different functions for the household to make sure the house is in order. He makes an atonement for the family. So before we can even get to the kingship, we have to understand that function just within our own homes. Going forward, even with that mindset, celebrating the high holy days is just not about getting food and eating and being, for the festivities and throwing a couple prayers up to the Most High and thinking we're Israel. Just because you put on a hair wrap or you throw some fringes on, don't mean you Israel. It's about a functionality. The book is a living, functional book. And the problem with our people is they don't understand that there's an agricultural aspect of the book. There's a aspect of the book that deal with not only husbandry but deals with cattle. You know what I'm saying? There's an aspect of the book that also deals with patriarchal mindset. So there's so many functionalities of the book that people don't get before we can even get to the kingship understanding. Because again, in order to function in your appropriate persona, is to scrub the mindset that we just some niggas or we some Israelites and we just picked up our language and our culture. Because even if we pick up the language, we have to go to the cultural roots of it. Because even if we get the words, we can get a few words, but the words are associated with a cultural mindset. Because in the culture lies the function. The words describe it, but the culture actually it describes how we function in those titles or those duties or whatever. Last but not least, there's a civil aspect of it, and that civil aspect of it has to deal with being fair and being impartial, not being biased. There's a lot of biases amongst Israel. You know, well, that's my homeboy, or that's my organization, or that's my elder, or that's my leader, or that's my wife, or that's my husband. The book is not a respective person. The book don't operate like that. You know what I'm saying? The book calls a spade. We're all equal under the law. And until Israel scrub their mindset, how can you judge the nations when you don't even want to judge your own self righteously? You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
This is the point that was being made. When you think with a Western mind and try to apply it to an Eastern standard, it don't work.
It don't work.
Case in point, when I was in the military, we used to always try to watch the football games that took place in the United States. Now, the first game of the day usually happens Eastern Standard Time around what time? 1 o'clock. In Germany, it was 8 o'clock at night. So if you tried to stay up and catch the first and the second game, you were going to be up until 5 o'clock in the morning trying to watch football games. And lo and behold, if you try to catch the late game, you can't apply an Eastern mindset to a Western one or vice versa. You got to either function in one or the other. When the Messiah said, "No man can serve two masters, for he will love one and despise the other," it was more than what we thought. It was about freeing your mind and getting out of the matrix in which you are established in.
Yes, exactly.
All of us who are Israel wrestle with the demons of a Western mind.
Right.
You said you hit something on the head that made me jump out my seat. That's my elder. That's so Western. That's my organization. That's a Western concept.
That was my point. That was my point exactly.
Thank you. We function as a nation. Even when we were in captivity in Mizraim for the first time, it wasn't until we all came together as a nation when the Father finally heard us.
Let me say this, I should be able to go up to any so-called organization as an Israelite and be able to sit down to talk to any man. Any man. But you don't have that in Israel. It's about being a respectable person. It's number one. Now, dealing with the cultural aspect, because I want to touch upon just a little small part of that, like I say, because it's very important what you hit on. These feast days are surrounded around agriculture. Agriculture. It doesn't make any sense for us to be claiming that we're Israel and we can't function as a nation or as a body where we can be able to supply our own, our own feast or our own gathering with our own food from our own sweat and our own work and labor, and be able to have brothers come from other states, other cities, other towns, you know what I'm saying, and fellowship. Now, again, I agree there's some wicked amongst Israel, but that's going to get handled. That's going to get handled and due time. But we also want to be able to deal with the spirit of the law and give the brothers and sisters an opportunity to weed out, because like you said, we all are trying to scrub away a lot of the Western ideology and spirit that's in us. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. Go ahead, my bad.
Yeah, to uproot the Western mind, you have to go deep into the soil in which it's planted and break it up so you can release that thing which is inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
That is why when the Messiah talked about the wheat and the tare, they look alike.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
But one of them can feed you, and the other one's gonna make you mad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
You're gonna go hungry.
That's right.
And they grow right next to each other in the field.
But again, the parables are surrounded around agriculture. I mean, this is my whole point. Everybody gonna go out there and they're gonna supply their feast at the local Walmart, at the local Kroger's, at the local whatever. And again, they're gonna beat their chest. They're gonna beat their chest. And when we have brothers and sisters that are humble and say, hey man, let's come together, let's try to do this and work together. Well, you're not a part of our assembly, or I've been in the troop 99 years and you can't, and I know this and that. But the scripts even tell us that we know truth in part, we prophesy in part. But Israel has a spirit of beating their chest instead of approaching everything with some sort of humility. They got some brothers that know the language better. They got some brothers that know the culture better. There's some brothers that know the civil aspect better. There's some brothers. I mean, you go on and on and on and on. But the problem is Israel thinks they know everything. But this is why you had a council of elders.
That is the blessing with us, to me, is that I know my role and I function inside of my role. And I don't cross over the boundaries to Yosef's role or the Malak's role. And that's why when I get up here, and I'm not saying that each organization or each body functions differently. Let's get that out open first. But in this body, with this group of believers, I function in the role of a teacher. Malak and Malak and Yosef take care of the organizational aspect so I can be free to go before the Father. The
Mm-hmm.
and even in Israel itself, the high priest didn't try to be the prophet. The prophet didn't try to be the king. The king didn't try to be. That's not how we function. There was one role, and we established our roles, and we operated in our function. And that's how we operate in this assembly, because that's what works for us. Now, other organizations, other parts of their assemblies, they have their own way of functioning. But I want to make this very clear to Israel as we go forth in this feast on this high holy day, that until we strip away that Western mindset, we will
Mm-hmm.
never reach the pinnacle of understanding that we should have. Hell, we talk about the language, and we've got two schools of doctrine about language. You remember when I got yelled at for saying total rabah? That's it's throwda. It's fada. Look, man. First of all, you wouldn't even hear when the language was really spoke, so you
Mhm.
don't even know what it says. Well, the Lashawn Kadash says that you say it like this, and if you don't write in the ancient script, then you really ain't writing Hebrew. Look, the meanings don't change in the word in the letters.
Exactly, exactly.
Across however you write them, the meaning of them don't change.
But even if you look at our people on the west coast of Africa, I mean, you see the language. They even tell you that the language have evolved. They may have add a letter here and drop a letter there, but the function of the letter never changed. That's right, Stephon Green. The best teachers were the best students. Right, it's right, it's right, exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what it's about. It's about we can learn from other people. Other people can learn from us. We don't know everything. We're not gonna come here and beat our chest like we know everything and stuff like that. That we don't do that around here. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And again, like I said, there's so many different doctrines out there. If you totally read the book, you're gonna see that there's an obvious discrepancy. I mean, the sunset doctrine. I mean, it's like how do you start your John with Layla? I mean, it's obvious that there's somebody's gonna hold on to a doctrine just to suit them. But then we're not beating up on that today. But my point is, let the book speak in its function. The Most High divided something, then you want to put them together and make it do what you wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I mean, this is what Israel is because there's arrogance amongst our people, and until we learn a little humility. You know what I'm saying? A little patience,
Mm-hmm.
and learn how to take some accountability,
Mm-hmm.
and responsibility. It's not going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Hallelujah. I wanted to touch this because I wanted to touch on this part because when you look at the book of Exodus or Shemot in its fullness, it is taking a people out of captivity through trials
Mm-hmm.
into establishment.
That's right. That's right.
The same journey that we are on right now.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
He is going to release us from captivity. Look, your social security number ain't gonna matter in a little bit. How much money you got in your bank account ain't
Man,
gonna matter in a little bit because he
you,
gonna flip the whole system over on his head, and
I was just telling my wife.
he is going to reestablish. You remember those plagues when the plagues came forth, it flipped everything over on his head and it reestablished the order of dominance. It took Mizraim, which was all powerful in that moment, and flipped it over to where now those who were the slaves were
Mhm.
now in power.
That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But didn't we do that over there in Rome too? Didn't that it didn't happen in Rome? It's the same stuff gonna happen now over and over.
We we have to get ready and we have to prepare our children and our children's children, even though in my heart I feel it's going to be sooner than what we think. When the Messiah comes back, it ain't going to be all playing of harps and everybody's going to be just, people going to vanish and they going to be up in the air with the Father and they're going to have peace on earth. No, he coming around to wipe out a bunch of folks. And when we go back in, we look at Isaiah 66, which is one of my favorite chapters in the book. He said from new moon to new moon, Sabbath to Sabbath, that we gonna be going out walking over the bodies of dead people. I was telling the lady at work the other day that the problem with the Christian church is they don't want to hold on to anything in the Old Testament because they know that what's going to happen in the end is going to come with a bunch of bloodshed. And even Revelations, they don't want to teach out of Revelations because he clearly states he gonna kill some folks up in Revelation. You can't be free unless there's got to be loss of life.
I just said that, man. In order for you to for you to be free, somebody gonna have to go into captivity.
Yep.
In order for you to get your riches back, somebody had to be poor. Because guess what? That's exactly what they did to you. So the Most High hates a false balance. You can't be talking about salvation and then praying for your adversary. It don't work like that. It don't work like that. Your adversary gonna have to pay for his sins. That's why he gave them a time.
What did David do? David wrote some prayers in there for. David was like, kill them all.
Just talking about David. Yeah.
David was like, wipe them all out. Take them. Because you can't find relief. And look, Yah said something. He told them, he said, go into the land and kill everybody, every man, woman, and child.
Right.
Don't leave a man standing. Kill their cattle, kill their flocks, kill everything in that city. And we let some folks slide. And the reason why he did this is because you can never find ease when you're looking over your shoulder. So when he returns, he gonna do it the way he said he was gonna do. There's some people that ain't gonna be here. There's gonna be some nations that are gonna be completely wiped off the face of the earth. That we gonna be remembering the Neanderthal. You know, we gonna be remembering, and I hate to say this, man. While we sitting up here looking for Esau, we need to understand something. That if we don't got it right, we ain't gonna make it.
Well, like you said, even in the book of Ezekiel, he says, start off with the children of Israel, those that didn't have on them, go there and smite women, children, old maids, and do not shed a tear.
What did he say? Who's on the Lord's side?
Yeah.
And the tribe of Levi stood up, and he said, "Go get your swords and go over there and kill." That's in your own house.
That's right.
You take out the people in your own house first.
But that's why I say we can't be a respecter of person. The book is not biased, man. Our people are too biased, man. We want to beat our chest. You know what I'm saying? You got to do some self-examining because you might be, I might be the one killed first.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm humble enough to admit when I'm wrong, or that I don't know everything, and I'm willing to learn.
Thank you. Let's go to Exodus. You got anything to say, Brother Joseph?
I do, but it takes too much time.
Go ahead and say.
Okay, now you just remember, I warned you.
Uh-oh.
I've been listening, and this first of all, Shabbat Shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad.
Uh-oh.
Giving all praises to the Most High Yah and His Son. We're glad to be here with you this morning. I'm glad to be here with the Moreh and with brother Mr. Malak.
Hey, I got to give him the whole floor, man, because I know this gonna have me laugh, and I don't need everybody to see me. Hold on, let you have the whole floor.
Okay. Again, shalom. We're just so happy. For those of you that walk in the truth and know the truth, know and understand, you can feel me. how happy we are and how blessed we are to be in another Shabbat. And so I'm not going to belabor the point there, but just a few things I want to share from listening. First of all, brothers and sisters, as Brother Malak said, we've got to learn humility. And humility, from a practical standpoint, we've been given 2 ears and 1 tongue. Therefore, we need to be more uh, in tune with hearing and listening than we do speaking. And that's one of the things that has guided me in my walk in the truth. I've done a whole lot more listening than I have speaking, and that's been by design. Um, Brother Yemi came on this morning, and he was speaking in terms of no kingdom. We can't do kingdom in captivity. He's absolutely right. Absolutely right. Because we all need to know this. Number one, you can't do kingdom without a king. And so until Hamashiach return, we're not going to be able to operate the way that we've been called to operate. Number two, humility as Israel, as Brother Malaka said, we've got these organizations, the camps, the branding, and the cult of personality exists in Israel. It's the same wickedness that exists in the Christian church. It's the cult of personality. It started out with what Paul said, and then it started out with what Pastor so and so, or Bishop so and so said, a prophet or prophetess so and so said, and all of that is wickedness, because we are supposed to be operating according to what thus said Yah in this book. To hell with Pastor. I'm sorry if I sound wrong. We run out of time. We're running out of time. And to hell with this cult of personality, not with the individuals. And I'm not coming against any individual. I'm coming against the era, that cult of personality. We've got to get away from that, especially when I was reading First John this morning. First John, Yohanan, his epistles, and he told us, he's telling us in his epistles that we are at the point right now where we have an unction from the Spirit, from the Ruach Hakodesh, whereby we're in the mode now where we have no need to no man teach us, if we're being led by the Spirit, if we're being led by the Ruach Hakodesh. And so those are some of the things that we've got to be aware of. And then lastly, maybe not lastly, but looking in the scriptures, First Kings chapter 8, where Solomon, y'all write this stuff down. First Kings chapter 8, 46 through 50. Of King Solomon, the wisest man that ever lived. He prayed for us, those of us who were in captivity, prayed for our predicament, and taught us how to operate when we found ourselves in the land of our captivity. And even when we look at, most specifically, when we look at Daniel, we look at the captivity of Babylon, where Jeremiah was. You had these false prophets saying, "Listen, y'all coming out, and y'all not going into captivity. Y'all coming out, and the Father going." And I got the lying prophets were saying, "Y'all coming out of captivity." And Jeremiah said, "No, you're going into captivity." He said, "Listen, Jeremiah, Jeremiah, he's telling the people. He said, listen." Y'all need to build houses, and y'all need to plant gardens, and y'all need to give your children in the marriage, and you need to seek the peace of the city. You need to seek the peace of Babylon, because you're going to be there for a while. And that's in the midst of that scripture that we take out of context. For I know the plans that I have for you. He's speaking that in the midst of their captivity, knowing that they're going into captivity and getting ready to go into captivity. They're going to be there for 70 years. I know the plans I have for you. Plans of y'all know what I'm talking about. That was right before they're getting ready to go into 70 years of captivity. He's promising them. Y'all need to read the scripture for yourself, and need to read the whole scripture and quit. You can't soundbite Torah. That's what's wrong with us. We're going to get a word. We're going to get a nugget. Now, you can't soundbite the word. I told you, Yemi. I told you I was going to be a while. I told you just to go on ahead. But listen, you can't soundbite the scripture. Jeremiah said, listen, y'all need to go on in there. You're going to have children. You're going to have grandchildren. You're going to have great-grandchildren in your captivity. So go on and do handle your business in Babylon. Mind your business. And I'll see you at the end of those 70 years. I got you. Y'all said, I got you. It's going to take a minute because y'all is wicked. Y'all wicked.
Come on.
You run around beating your chest up and I'm this and I'm that and I'm elder so and so and so. No, you wicked. So that's why you're in captivity and you're gonna be in captivity until this thing run its course. Brothers and sisters, and then finally, as I wrap this thing up, finally, what you see here, what he's just, and it's very appropriate that he switched the screen and they made a reference to this. To guard against the cult of personality. That's why you see what you see when you turn on the screen. You see three brothers, and there's several brothers that you do not see that hold us accountable. And so we all have our lane. We run in our lane. We all have our role, and we attempt to best of our ability to carry out our role. And we attempt to remain humble and teachable. Even the faces that you see on the screen, they don't represent the totality of our leadership, of mature men, of mature sisters who they'll call us out. I had a brother person to call me out and say, listen, where are your people? Where they at? I'm serious. I'm not gonna call his name because I don't know if he want to be called out like that. But he called me and said, I'm not trying to run your business, but where your people at? How many people you got? Where they at? Where they live?
Tell the whole story. He tried to get me first, and I deferred. He tried.
And we had to bow down, and I had to take responsibility for that and be accountable for that. And then you've seen him maybe once. You've seen his face maybe once. You've heard his name just maybe once. But he called us out, and we had to, get on it. We still getting on it. But again, we need to walk in humility. And Hamashiach is going to come. He's going to set everything straight. He's going to set the language straight. He's going to set the law, statute, commandments straight. He's going to set all these little issues all these little minors that we're majoring in. He's going to set them all straight. And our responsibility is to spread the message of the kingdom, to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. As James said, pure religion undefiled before Yah is this, is that we visit the widows, visit the widows and the orphans in their affliction, and that we keep ourselves unspotted from the world. That's your religion right there. I'm through, Yemi. I'm not finished, but I'm through.
I'm glad that you brought that one point up, because I turned state evidence.
You snitch!
I went into witness protection, boy.
You snitch!
He started talking to me. I was like, I did a Tekashi 6ix9ine. I told everything I knew and that I didn't know. Oh man. Yeah, but now let me do it like this. Correct that line of questioning.
Take my nigga like a man, you know what I'm saying? It only makes them better though, man. Like you said, man, that's how you get respect from people, man. It's not that I'm perfect. I mean, I'm still learning, still growing. You know what I'm saying? And again, I'm humble enough to admit when I don't know something. I'm humble enough to listen to somebody else. And again, one thing I say, like brother Yosef said, this book right here, man, is a functional book. It's not about our feelings, our opinions. We have to get back to the book and remove and scrub the worship mindset. It's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. It is what it is. And you can get mad with me. I'm not even going, like I said, I have about 30 videos, man, clogged up in my that I haven't been releasing, man. I'm still editing. And I told brother Yemi the other day, brother Yosef the other day, and brother Yemi, we gonna shake up some people, bro. It's gonna get nasty, and it's not to hurt nobody's feelings because it's all pointed at myself too. I got a lot to learn.
Hallelujah. Okay, so as we get ready to go into Exodus, we're gonna do one chapter today, and we're gonna hit it, and then we're gonna allow everybody to enjoy the feast. But I want y'all to understand this: it's not a knock on us.
That's right.
And when I say this, that you can't do kingdom in captivity, it's not a knock on you.
Mm-hmm.
It's to alert your mind that you need to change, that you need to move, that you
Mm-hmm.
need to allow the word to wash you, to
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
prepare you, and to change your mind about
Right.
where you
Right.
are.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you stay in the lane that you're in right now, you are heading towards a dead end.
Mm-hmm.
It is not until you allow this book to transcend your mind from where you're at now to where he needs you to be so that you can function inside of the framework. Do you understand that each one of us is almost like a cell in a body? That we have different functions, and if your cells don't carry out the function, you don't see blood cells making ears, you don't see blood cells making skin. There are specific cells for that function. An ear
Mm-hmm.
cell, the cell that makes up the collagen in your ear, wouldn't function properly in your liver. It would kill you. And what we
Mm-hmm.
have is people trying to be that which they're not.
Right. Right.
And like we keep saying, everybody that says they're Israel are not Israel because your function is proving that you're not. You are not uplifting the kingdom in any sense or any way. I'm a clown. Look, if I could be anything in my life, I would have been a comedian. I am a clown. I love to joke. I love to laugh. I love to make people laugh. I love that. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact of the matter is, that's just part of the functionality of Yemi. The other part of the functionality is this. I might make you laugh, but I ain't afraid to tell you the truth
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
because I hold myself to a standard and I beat myself up more than anybody else can beat me up.
Right. Right.
Sometimes my Isha, she be like, you don't need to be so hard on yourself. You still learning. No, I have people that are looking to me, and then there's sometimes where I just blow stuff off, and she's like, "No, you need to get back in line."
Mm-hmm.
But see, there's a lot of men that won't be able to take that, man. If I'm gonna be at on me, I gotta understand that if look, there's a lot of men in this book that if they would have listened to their Isha, that they wouldn't be in the position that they were in.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? And there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of there's a lot of women that if they would have listened to their I don't need, they wouldn't be in the position that they were in.
Mm-hmm.
Case in point, Lot's wife. If she would have just not looked back, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, let's go on to Exodus chapter 30, 33, I think it is, or 32.
Well, today's 32 is today, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're at
32.
I'm trying to remember where we left off.
yeah, we should be at yeah, we should be at 32, huh?
Okay, let's see.
Uh, 32 was yeah, 32 was we were laughing last week on 32 when Yah and Moses were arguing about who's the people who.
Them your
So
people,
we're at
no.
33.
Yeah, we're at 33.
Okay, so I'm going to start at 33, Exodus chapter 33, verse 1. And Yah and Yahuwah said unto Moses, depart and go up hence, thou and the people which thou hast brought up out of the land of Egypt unto the land which I swear unto Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, saying, unto thy seed will I give it. And I will send an angel before thee, and I will drive out the Canaanite, and the Amorite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite, unto a land flowing with milk and honey. For I will not go up in the midst of thee, for thou art a stiff-necked people, lest I consume thee in the way. And when the people heard these evil tidings, they mourned, and no man did put on him his ornaments. For Yahuwah had said unto Moses, say unto the children of Israel, ye are a stiff-necked people. I will come up into the midst of thee in a moment and consume thee. Therefore now put out thy ornaments from thee, that I may know what to do unto thee. And the children of Israel stripped themselves of their ornaments by the Mount Horeb. And Moses took the tabernacle and pitched it without the camp, afar off from the camp, and called it the tabernacle of the congregation. And it came to pass that everyone which sought Yahuwah went out unto the tabernacle of the congregation, which was without the camp. And it came to pass when Moses went out unto the tabernacle that all the people rose up and stood every man at his tent door and looked after Moses until he was gone into the tabernacle. And it came to pass as Moses entered into the tabernacle, the cloudy pillar descended and stood at the door of the tabernacle, and Yahuwah talked with Moses. And all the people saw the cloudy pillar stand at the tabernacle door, and all the people rose up and worshiped, every man in his tent door. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses face to face, as a man speaketh unto his friend. And he turned again into the camp, but his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, departed not out of the tabernacle. And Moses said unto Yahuwah, see, thou sayest unto me, bring up this people, and thou hast not let me know whom thou wilt send with me. Yet thou hast said, I know thee by name, and thou hast also found grace in my sight. Now therefore I pray thee, if I have found grace in thy sight, show me now thy way, that I may know thee, that I may find grace in thy sight. And consider that this nation is thy people. And he said, my presence shall go with thee, and I will give thee rest. And he said unto him, if thy presence go not with me, carry us not up hence. For wherein shall it be known here that I stand, here that I and thy people have found grace in thy sight? Is it not in that thou goest with us? So shall we be separated, I and thy people, from all the people that are upon the face of the earth. And Yahuwah said unto Moses, I will do this thing also that thou hast spoken, for thou hast found grace in my sight, and I know thee by name. And he said, I beseech thee, show me thy glory. And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before thee, and I will proclaim the name of Yahuwah before thee. And I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and I will show mercy on whom I will show mercy. And he said, thou canst not see my face, for there shall no man see me and live. And Yahuwah said, behold, there is a place by me, and thou shalt stand upon a rock. And it shall come to pass while my glory passeth by, that I will put thee in a cliff of the rock, and will cover thee with my hand while I pass by. And I will take away thine hand, and thou shalt see my back parts, but my face shall not be seen.
Hold on for a second. This word glory, people think it's like a glow. Yah's glory is his armor. His armament. It is the armor. No man shall see my face, or he'll die. Do you understand? When you look into the face of the Father, you're looking into the face of creation. When you look at all power right there, in his armor glowing. Boy, that if that ain't a life-changing experience. And you got to understand, Moshe met with the Father on several occasions and never really saw the Father. That right there ought to let you know. Moshe was looking for when he's like, you got to understand, Moshe was in his 80s at this point. He was looking for some relief. He was looking for some ease. And I'm an 80-year-old man, and you done sit me out here with almost 3 million Negroes that ain't got no dang sense, and I keep on going through all this foolishness. This meeting with him was to reassure him, not only to reassure him, but to give him some ease and some comfort that, okay, these people that you done had me take out of this wilderness, even though they stiff necked, these are your people. This is gonna be your nation. I ain't did all this work for nothing. I'm going to HR. Joker wanted to go see the boss. Joker said, I want to see the boss. I got to talk to you about this in person. We need to have, what they say, we need to have an open door discussion. And all the men in the camp standing at their doors shows me something. Every man at the camp stood at his door and he worshiped. Where is the father supposed to be? It didn't say the family, it said the father. And here we go. The father is responsible for what happens in his tent. And he stood at the door. His bed was at the door. And the reason why his bed was at the door was so that he could protect his family from any intruder that was coming in. First of all, they stood at the door just in case something went down when Moses went into the tent. Because they know they had made y'all hot. And when that cloud came down and they was like, woo, they was worshiping because they were like, we done made it again. It can happen to us. This is one of the concepts that we need to bring back into our people is that we need to start guarding our door. And this means we need to be in protection and do the roles of fathers. This is one of the biggest things that hurts us in Israel. You can't be the man of your house and don't have no job. Well, let me rephrase that because I'm about to go without a job soon. So you can't be the man of your house and not provide. There we go. That's better. We got a whole lot of Israelite men that are acting in the role of the wife, and the wife is acting in the role of the husband. She getting up in the morning providing and bringing home the bacon, and they sitting home trying to spend it up and playing PlayStation all day. You know, this ain't functional. And how you expect a woman to respect you when she's the one doing your role? We got a bunch of baby boys in Israel. We got a bunch of Jodies driving the car and dropping the wife off to work. I'll be back to pick you up at 7 o'clock, baby, when you get home. And driving off and going to sack chase. This, a man don't work, he don't eat. You correct, brother Gabriel. And the problem is we've gotten into this mindset and this teaching that the woman is the dominant figure of the home. Look, the lioness did all the hunting, but the male lion, ruled over the pride. And this is what we don't seem to understand. When I watched National Geographic, the women didn't just go out there and hunt by themselves. The male lion was out there too.
Right. Guess what? And guess what? If they took too long to grab that food, what he did? He went out there. He was guided. Y'all taking too long.
That's right. It's not a matter. You know, we've got this habit of we just want our woman to go out there and make a way for us. And you know, in me being 50 years old, just turning 50, it hurts me to say this, but in many aspects, I leaned on my wife more than I should have,
Mm-hmm.
in trying to become a man. When the fact of the matter is, the blueprint was always in front of me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting up there looking at the scripture as a religious testimony, and it ain't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is what basic instructions before leaving Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is our basic instruction. Torah is our instructions. Man, get off your butt and go work by the
Mm-hmm.
sweat of your brow. And for a lot of years, my wife, I worked. Don't get it twisted. But because I had to pay child support and all this other stuff, I was defeated.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to come back as men and reclaim our role as husbands and fathers and teachers. And we can't do that when the woman don't respect you because you can't do your role as a man. You forcing a woman to respect something that don't even look like the Messiah, that don't even look like Yah.
Mm-hmm.
We need to look like Yah.
Mm-hmm.
When my wife says I need some money, I shouldn't have to postpone her for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not talking about she needs money to go run off and get her nails done, but if she needs to get her nails done, then shoot, go do it.
Mm-hmm.
But when she opened up that refrigerator, her stomach shouldn't be touching her back.
Yeah.
You know what that being said, I too is a righteous, a virtuous woman when she see that in a man, she's gonna submit willfully. You know what I'm saying? She's not going to argue and debate, with you. You know what I'm saying? And the problem is again, on both aspects, Israel have lost their way by means of not playing their roles. The men are not playing their roles, like you said earlier, and the women are playing their roles. You know what I'm saying? Submission from a Western mindset is like I'm gonna rule over you with rigor and but submission is not like that when you understand the Hebrew concept. It's like we're all under the same, we're all in the same goal. You know what I'm saying? She's helping me achieve the goals that the Most High have set forth for me. So that's what submission means. It means she's under the same mission. She's not somebody gonna rule over and you just shut up, don't say nothing, and I got this, blah blah. I'm the man, and blah. That's not the way it operates. But don't get me wrong. In a woman is supposed to be shamefaced, and she's supposed to be able to sit back and uh like you said, we use Moses for example. His wife, when he was getting ready to go see the Most High, and his wife told him, "Hold on, you ain't even circumcised this boy yet." You know what I'm saying? And she said she saved him. So we have a lot of our foremothers that were really smart, man. That was really understood their roles. You know what I'm saying? So we have to get back to the basics, man. And it's not about um again, because we know the adversary has made it hard for us as men trying to survive. So let's put that out there for the brothers. Because you have some brothers that really are struggling financially because of child support. I've been there, done that myself. They bet I get $30 a week from my check. But at the end of the day, I still was happy that my children were able. I was doing my part and let that be on their mother. You know what I'm saying? Sad to say that we didn't stay together because of other influences. But again, the system is doing its job. It's designed to separate the black household, separate the black family. So we have to understand that in order to get back or to become a nation, we have to come back to the book. Gotta come back to the
Mm-hmm.
book. Gotta come back to
Mm-hmm.
the book.
All right, go ahead.
Just real quick,
Go ahead.
just to
We
go
got
back to
time.
the Aleph bet, and just be what the Aleph bet say. If we are the Ab or the Abba of the house or the father of the house, then we're the strong provider. That's in the alphabet. It's in Torah, but it's in the alphabet of what we're supposed to, what we're not supposed, what we're called to be by the Father. We're supposed to be the one to take the burden and carry the burden, carry the load, to protect and provide for our family.
Right.
That's in the alphabet. That's in Torah, and that's in our alphabet. And just like I say, just getting back to the basics, just being simple, just keeping it simple. And and all of us, to a certain degree, have failed and are failing in that regard.
Right.
But what do? We wash ourselves with the water of the word, and we do better. We become better, and we do better, and quit making excuses, because the Most High called us to that. Then He called, as they say in the Christian church, He equipped who He called. So it's a soundbite, If He
It's that
called you, then
wicked.
He's equipped you. He's equipped you for the call. So
That's right.
I ain't where I'm supposed to be because of that wicked woman. Nah, bruh, you slept with her. You
That's right.
spilled your seed. You made a baby. You didn't
yeah.
want to wife her up. And so there's consequences with that.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
You
You know,
know,
like Israel is creating moms us in the fatherless. You know what I'm saying? That's the sad thing about it. We create them. We don't want the fatherless. You know?
Look, man, child support. I'm gonna tell y'all this, man. Y'all pay child support for us. That's what people don't understand. Y'all done paid child support for us.
Mm-hmm.
And he ain't got no return on his investment.
Mm-hmm.
We still running around here half cocked, not even acknowledging that we are who we are. Look, of all of the people who are Israel, just imagine how many of us ain't saying we Israel. There
Mm-hmm.
ain't but a remnant of us. And he understands that there's only going to be a remnant that's going to appreciate the sacrifices that I made for you. You know, and so we have to understand as a people that, like my son told me, I don't think that baby is mine, Daddy. I said, well, if you feed it long enough, it'll look like
Mm-hmm.
you. And then I told him this, and I know it broke his heart. I said, son, I'll be honest with you. I didn't believe you were mine until he showed up, because he looked more like me than you do. That Joker was hurt. But it's one of those things. I didn't neglect you because I had doubts.
Mm-hmm.
And I fed you until the reward came back. And that was your seed. You see what I'm saying? And then when I looked at my grandson, I was like, well, yeah, I guess he is. Because that joker looked just like me. I can't
Mm-hmm.
I can't pass that one off. So these are God provided is provided, and his goal is for us to look like him. Y'all don't y'all don't get this. This is where we were. He wanted to return us back to the kingdom where we were in that, what is it, that blood connected covenant,
Mm-hmm.
that we took on his image and his likeness,
Mm-hmm.
that we were in that blood connected covenant.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact of the matter is, we are getting to that place to where we are trying to pick up the pieces of that which was torn down. In this story, even though we look at when Moshe entered into the tent to meet with the Father, that the men of the kingdom realized the significance of the Father. And so they immolated the Father. Look, when the pillar came down, the pillar stood in front of the door. A lot of people don't realize that the Father was protecting his house too.
Mm-hmm.
Man, go ahead, man. Before I start acting like I'm, whew.
Well, that was that was actually that was the end of 33.
Okay, so next week, okay, you want to do 34?
It's up to you, Moray.
Because we just an hour in. You know what? You know what? This is a high holy day. I'm gonna let those people go spend time with your family. Give you a little extra time to spend time with your family. But I do want to say this: our meetings that we have with the brethren on Zoom, can we schedule that for another day other than Shabbat?
Hmm. Yeah, we can
Do
do
it
that.
on do it on Sunday. Um, do it Sunday morning or something like that because I'll be so drained after this, man. I'm gonna go and crash,
Okay.
and I have no.
I'll send a text. Get with the brothers. Get each of you. Try to get a time or a date that works for us outside of Shabbat, and then we'll get that taken care of. Yes, sir.
And we can do it this week. I mean, we can just do it for this week, and we can go back to Shabbat. But if that's good, unless y'all want to do it on another day. But what I want to tell everybody before we close, realize that these feast days are memorial, and these memorials are lessons that we should learn. There's reasoning behind each feast. There is a connective understanding that should bring us closer to the Father by practicing and celebrating these feasts. This sound of the trumpet is an alert to
Hmm.
something, and it is an alert that the bridegroom is coming.
I would tell everybody to go read the book of Numbers just to give one nugget. Let me look at it right fast, family.
Go ahead and read it.
No, because it's a lot. Because I want the people to do it for themselves. Because if they don't understand why they're doing it, again, it goes back to what you were saying, Yemi. So, give me one second. I'm just gonna take a second look at it. Hold on, just 1 second. Just 1 second. I want everybody to read the book of Numbers, chapter 10. Read the book of Numbers in chapter 10 and then go back to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, and read Numbers 29 and 1, and also read uh, Leviticus 25, and yeah, read 25 and 9. And it's going to lay out a lot of the feast days for us and why it's a memorial. Because again, it's just not about us eating and celebrating and praying. It's very significant dealing with the historical content, especially dealing with our captivity and also coming out of captivity. So read
Hmm.
those, read that.
All right. As I get ready to close, I thank you, brothers, once again for giving your time to the kingdom, for being a support to me. Um, um, if you get a chance, go to the Awakening Remnant Coalition's page and catch Moray Yoshiyahu Dawi. After this, he should be coming on soon if he's not already on. Um, I want to thank the people who came through the chat this week. Um, May Yah continue to bless, feed you. Please, if you have any way of sharing this out, if you have a Facebook channel, if you got a YouTube community tab, share this out. We want this to grow. We want to be able to feed Yasharel, and the best way that I can tell you to do it is to hit the post notification button, subscribe, and like the messages because it brings the algorithm around and more people will see it. So once again, I want to thank you. And as we get ready to pray, Abba Father, we thank you once again for another Shabbat. We thank you for this high holy day of trumpets. Yah, we ask right now that you would bless and continue to keep us, allow us to walk in your word. We thank you for Yeshua HaMashiach, who is our atonement, and we thank you for the sacrifice made on our behalf as your sovereign nation. Our Father, we ask that those who have been lost come and wake up, and that we would learn who we are and whose we are, that we may better be a service to you and the kingdom. All these things we ask in your name, and we close by saying hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
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 All right, brothers, Shabbat Shalom once again,
Shabbat
and
shalom.
we'll catch up.
Shabbat shalom.